In a small village in the Netherlands lives a married couple, War and Tyne. They reside on an isolated farm surrounded by open meadows. War is an avid birdwatcher who often ventures into the woods with his binoculars and a well-worn notebook where he jots down his observations. One day, during one of his outings, War decides to take a break and have a snack. Suddenly, he hears a strange chirping nearby. Curious, he goes to investigate and finds a tiny creature lying in the grass near a tree, small enough to fit in the palm of his hand. The creature has the face and body of a little girl, but instead of arms, she has wings. War looks up at the sky, hoping to spot her mother, but sees nothing. Fascinated by the discovery, he brings the abandoned baby home. Tyne is shocked by the sight of the winged girl, admitting she's never seen anything like it before. War guesses she must be an extremely rare species, one he's never read about. Tyne clears out a basket on the dining table and gently turns it into a cradle for the mysterious child. She suggests calling the police, but War wants to wait and see if the baby's parents return. He even climbs a tree in hopes of spotting more of her kind. Later, Tyne softly sings the girl a lullaby. Since the couple has no children of their own, they decide to care for her as if she were their daughter. Tyne gently feeds her drops of water from her fingertip while War watches with affection. That evening, the couple gazes lovingly at the sleeping child nestled in the basket and begins to think about a name for their unusual little guest. War suggests calling her Birdie, but in the end, they settle on the name Vigeltje. The next day, the couple awaits the delivery of essential items for their mysterious girl. Tyne receives a doll, whose clothes she carefully alters to fit Vigeltje, along with a tiny bottle for feeding. Meanwhile, Warren assembles a large stroller so they can take her for walks like any ordinary baby. But when they try to tuck her in with a blanket, her wings still stick out to hide them from prying eyes. Tyne cuts up one of War's socks and sews a tiny poncho. Bundling her up tightly, the couple takes Vigeltje out for her first walk. As they stroll, Vigeltje watches the birds in the sky with wide-eyed curiosity. She soon starts making strange sounds, which Tyne interprets as her trying to speak. But War believes she's chirping, not talking, and that she's more bird than human. Eventually, they reach the nearest town. Some local women admire the baby, and War tells them they've just adopted her. The women comment on how tiny she is, and one of them reaches out to move the blanket. Tyne quickly pulls the stroller away and ends the conversation, leaving the curious townsfolk puzzled. Time passes, and Vigeltje begins to grow. She no longer fits comfortably in the basket on the dining table. She never learns to speak and continues making strange, bird-like sounds. One day, while Tyne is washing dishes, she suddenly notices Vigeltje is no longer in her basket. Looking under the table, she finds the girl trying to fly. As time goes on, Vigeltje behaves more and more like a bird. She plays with the chickens and insists on being fed birdseed. Tyne becomes upset by Vigeltje's behavior. She wants her daughter to be more human. That night, she confides in War, worried that if Vigeltje never learns to speak, life will become very difficult for all of them. The couple builds a tiny bed for Vigeltje and places it in their bedroom. But when strange noises outside scare her, she jumps into their bed and falls asleep curled up between them. The next day, Vigeltje climbs on top of a cupboard and throws a tantrum, refusing to eat normal human food. Tyne scolds her, but suddenly the girl spots a bug on the floor. She leaps down, scrambles after it, and eats it without hesitation. After discussing it with War, Tyne offers Vigeltje a plate of worms. The girl eagerly devours them. Tyne tries to teach her how to hold a fork with her toes, but Vigeltje resists and sucks the worms down with her mouth instead. War thinks it's perfectly natural bird behavior, but Tyne is disheartened. She believes their daughter can learn manners. She just needs human role models to copy. The next day, Tyne takes Vigeltje to a restaurant, but instead of mimicking the people around her, the girl is captivated by a cage of little parrots fluttering their wings. She starts trying to imitate them instead. Worried about drawing attention, Tyne quickly takes her to the restroom and gently asks her to flap her wings in private. She waits outside, chatting nervously with a curious woman, but after a while, Tyne realizes Vigeltje is taking too long. She opens the stall door and finds only the girl's little shoes on the floor. In a panic, she notices the window is open. Rushing to it, she looks out and sees Vigeltje awkwardly gliding through the air, trying to join the birds in the sky. Tyne calls out to Vigeltje again and again, but the girl doesn't return. Heartbroken, she heads home and tells War what happened. She's deeply worried about their adopted daughter. In a quiet moment, she notices a beetle on the windowsill, just like the ones Vigeltje used to eat. In a strange act of longing, she picks it up and eats it. The couple realizes that Vigeltje couldn't have flown too far. Determined to find her, they catch a train and head to the city. Meanwhile, Vigeltje is soaring through the sky with a flock of birds, feeling freer than ever. But a sudden gust of wind throws her off balance as she crash lands through a rooftop window, right onto someone's bed. The bed belongs to a little girl named Lucha. Enchanted by Vigeltje's wings, Lucha asks where she got them. The two become fast friends. Since Lucha's father is often busy and doesn't spend much time with her, she finds comfort in her magical new companion. Back in the city, War and Tyne check in at an information center but find no leads. With night approaching, they try to get a room at a hotel, only to learn that it's fully booked. By sheer coincidence, they end up sleeping beneath the same large tree where Lucha and Vigilcha have dozed off, Vigilcha at the top and Lucha on a lower branch. The next morning, the couple wakes to find Lucha nearby. She tells them about the winged girl sleeping in the tree. War climbs up in a hurry, but before he can reach her, Vigilcha takes off and disappears into the sky. As War and Tyne prepare to leave, Lucha insists on joining them, saying she knows how to help find Vigilcha. The three of them hop on a bus, following the path of a flock of birds overhead. Tyne doesn't want to bring Lecha along because she thinks the little girl is too much trouble, but Lecha insists she can take care of herself. Meanwhile, Vigilcha is flying with a flock, but because of her small size, she starts falling behind. Eventually, she lands on the roof of a church. People notice her and call the fire department to help get her down. Just as the firefighter reaches her, Vigilcha suddenly takes off and flies away. The stunned crowd assumes eagles must have carried her off. Tyne and War see the news report on local TV and immediately recognize what happened. They track down the firefighter to explain that Vigilcha isn't a girl but a bird, and that no eagles took her. She flew off on her own. At first, the firefighter is skeptical but tells them the bird flew south, and even offers to help them search. War, Tyne, the firefighter, and Lecha set off together toward the south. Meanwhile, Vigilcha arrives at a tiny, secluded cabin. She sits by the window, watching birds fly by. When they take off, she joins them, but suddenly, gunshots echo through the quiet woods. Following the sound, the group grows worried, and Lecha becomes convinced Vigilcha fell into a well. Using the firefighter's gear, they lower Lecha down, but all she finds is Vigilcha's poncho. There's no sign of her anywhere. By evening, with no sign of Vigilcha, the group checks into a nearby hotel. Tyne quickly grows attached to Lecha, beginning to treat her like her own daughter. Later, Lecha spots a strange boy perched in a tree outside her window. She climbs out to join him, and they share a sweet, quiet conversation. Lecha tells him all about her extraordinary friend. That night, the boy heads back to his room and settles in for bed. But just as he's about to fall asleep, he hears a strange noise coming from under the bed. Curious, he leans over and is shocked to find Vigilcha hiding there. He immediately runs after Lecha, remembering her story about the strange bird girl. They hurry back and see that Vigilcha is still there. Lecha is overjoyed to have finally found her friend. All three of them crawl under the bed and sleep there through the night. In the morning, the kids rush to find Vigilcha's parents, but she flies away again before they can reach her. Now it's time for the group to continue the chase, but Lecha doesn't want to leave the boy behind. He's the only friend she's ever had, and unlike Vigilcha, he never runs away. Tyne understands the little girl and lets her stay, giving her a last warm hug. War, Tyne, and the firefighter press on through the forests and fields. After a while, the firefighter grows tired and decides to rest in a nearby barn. The couple, however, keep going. They make their way through thick woods and then cross a river by wading through it. Soon, War, worn out from the fruitless chase after Vigilcha, tells Tyne they should take a break. They follow the same river back to the barn, where they settle in for the night. During the night, the firefighter is awakened by a soft chirping. To his surprise, he sees Vigilcha hanging upside down from a tree. He rushes to her side. Using a fallen log, he reaches her and discovers she's injured her wings during flight. The man carefully tends to the bird girl's broken wing, relieved that she'd be able to fly again soon. The next morning, the firefighter tells Tyne and War about his incredible encounter with Vigilcha and assures them she's going to be fine. Then he says goodbye to the couple, who are still determined to bring their daughter back. On their way, they spot Vigilcha flying with a flock of birds and continue to follow her. Eventually, Tyne and War arrive at a beach and watch as Vigilcha flies off toward the sea. Though it's heartbreaking to say goodbye, they understand she wants to live among her own kind, because she is a bird. Accepting the farewell, the couple prepares to head home by bus, but suddenly, War hears a soft chirp. He runs toward the sea and sees Vigilcha lying on a wooden plank, soaked and exhausted. War jumps into the water and rescues her, while Tyne wraps her up in a blanket. This time, Vigilcha is happy to see them and doesn't try to run away. The joyful couple brings their daughter home. Ward tends to her injured wings, and soon the whole family celebrates their reunion over dinner. But that night, Vigilcha looks out the window again and tries to fly away. Feeling guilty for trying to hold her back, the couple makes the difficult decision to let her go. War and Tyne carry her out to a meadow, give her a goodbye kiss, and watch as she takes flight. War comforts Tyne, reassuring her that during the rainy season, Vigilcha will surely come back to visit. That thought brings Tyne peace, and hand in hand, they head home, grateful for having met such an extraordinary being.